right, as the White House and the left work to erode your Second Amendment rights, several Democrats are proposing some downright absurd ideas for women to protect themselves against criminals. Let's run through a few of these. Now, two lawmakers in Colorado, they're urging women to rely on call boxes, safe zones, whistles, the, quote, buddy system, and even, get this, ballpoint pens if they're ever in danger. And there's more. When in doubt, one university in Colorado suggests vomiting on the attacker. But if that doesn't work, you can try urinating or faking a faint or a seizure. And not to worry, ladies, if you don't feel comfortable with those pathetic recommendations, crazy Uncle Joe, he's got some advice of his own. Listen to this.
If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun, have the shells, a 12-gauge shotgun, and I promise you, as I told my wife, we live in an area that's wooded and somewhat secluded. I said, Jill, if there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony here, or walk out, put that double-barrel shotgun, and fire 2 blasts outside the house. I promise you, who's ever coming in is not going to, you don't need an AR-15. It's harder to aim, it's harder to use, and in fact, you don't need 30 rounds to protect yourself. Buy a shotgun. Buy a shotgun.
Buy a shotgun. No big deal. Buy a shotgun. Now, as simple as that is, hey, thanks, Joe, for your 2 cents. Joining me now with reaction on the left's gun grab and the vice president's odd, bizarre guidance, syndicated columnist, author, Fox News contributor Michelle Malkin. So let me get this right. If a safe zone doesn't work, if the buddy system collapses, if you can't urinate on your attacker or vomit on him or faint, then you should carry around your shotgun wherever you go, and then pull out that, 12-gauge and fire away.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have felt like vomiting all week hearing all of this nonsense from these presumptuous, paternalistic, liberal, gun-grabbing men. And unfortunately, it's coming from my home state here in Colorado, the likes of Joe Salazar.
By the way, you can legally get stoned out there, Michelle.
Well, I think maybe people have been inhaling too much, and that's why we've got all of this insanity going on. But between Joe Salazar, who is recommending the rape whistles, and this is a father who has 2 daughters and a wife of his own, you think he would have had a heck of a lot more common sense on the House floor here in Denver at the state legislature when he said that.
But think about how dumb this is. You're going to use a pen against a rapist. You're going to race to your safe zone. You're going to, I'm going to urinate on you. That'll stop you. I mean, this is real. This is dangerous now. And we're talking about a serious topic. This is so dumb coming out of these politicians.
It is, and that's why I have to name check each and every one, because this debate is going down right now in Colorado, and it is a chance not only for Colorado women, but I think women all across the country to be heard and to make sure that they speak for themselves and not these idiots who want to leave them disarmed and vulnerable to violent sexual predators. It's Jesse Ulibarri who was the one that recommended the buddy system and judo lessons. What, are they going to now subsidize Brazilian jiu-jitsu for every woman? No, thank you. I'll take matters into my own hands. And then Paul Rosenthal was the other one who was recommending that we rely on other implements that, of course, are going to be completely and entirely useless.
Who was the guy that said urinate on your attacker? Who was that genius?
Now, this was the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs. Now, of course, a lot of liberals who are snickering all about this and now are up in high dudgeon because we've been mocking and paying attention to these tips are saying, well, Colorado Springs is supposed to be conservative. Well, guess what? Unfortunately, at many of these colleges and universities, whether they're small or large, in places like Colorado Springs or in the Ivy League, they have been poisoned. There is a cancerous attitude that women should be passively resistant, that they should do everything but learn how to arm themselves and use arms as self-defense. And so that's why you get these ridiculous things that we should use assault bodily fluids like vomit and urination, or in the case of Oregon State, telling us that we should tell potential attackers that we're sick or that we're pregnant or have a sexually transmitted disease, and this will be the great deterrent.
And is there a belief that if you faint, now you're on the ground,
Yes.
in a vulnerable position, that's really stupid and dangerous for women. The single best thing that we can do is they can be trained in the use of a firearm. They can learn some type of defense class, take defense classes. That would be very helpful. I would recommend the firearm personally. Let me ask you this. We have another situation in Wisconsin. You know about this University of Wisconsin Duluth and this campaign launched to increase awareness about racial favoritism. They've got a new PSA out. I want to roll it for our audience where, well, it'll be self-explanatory.
What do you mean we're lucky to be white?
It's not luck, it's privilege.
We're privileged that people see us, not a color.
Privilege that we don't get stared at when we walk into the room.
Privilege that we don't get followed by security when we go shopping.
Or pulled over when we're in the wrong neighborhood.
We're privileged because society was set up for us, and our silence keeps it in place.
We're privileged, and that's unfair.
What's your reaction to that?
It's the most noxious kind of racial demagoguery. It really is race arson, and I think that's a term that our late friend Andrew Breitbart used. He was one of the biggest watchdogs on this whole entire industry, these scam artists of white privilege studies. It's been going on 30, 40 years now, not just at taxpayer-subsidized universities, but in our public schools, and it's got to stop.
All right, Michelle, Malkin, always love having you on the program. Thanks for being with us.
You bet.